In this video, I'm going to describe how I approach painting vibrant and realistic tropical seascape sunsets and help you capture the essence of tropical sunsets in your own painting. I'll be showing you some examples from my work and walking you through the concepts and techniques that I use to create that beautiful, vibrant ocean sunset feel. And if you're a beginner to sunset painting, I'll keep it simple and understandable. I'll also describe some of the mistakes that I made and how I corrected them in my paintings. Stick around to the end of this video and I'll be giving you a bonus tip that makes all the difference in the world when creating a more realistic sunset painting. Hi there, I'm Alan Zawacki, a Sarasota, Florida-based artist, and I specialize in painting tropical seascapes of the Caribbean and Florida. After 30 years of painting seascapes and sunsets from the beach, I've picked up a few tricks of the trade here and there, and I'd love to share them with you today. So, enough about me, let's get started. Okay, first things first, composition. Before I even start a sunset painting, I'm already thinking about the focal point. Maybe it's a bright sun dipping below the horizon, or some bright highlights on the waves. I often like setting my horizon low in the canvas, leaving lots of room for that big dramatic sky. But sometimes I want to focus on the water and set my horizon higher in the painting. In this next painting, I wanted the sky to be the focal point, so I darkened the water and dimmed the reflection in the water. Here I wanted the water, waves, and reflection to be the star. And many times I like to create a visual balance to the painting. If I've got a sun setting on one side, I might add an object or distant islands on the other side to balance it out. Balancing elements like this in your composition keeps the eye moving across the painting, but again, decide which one will be your main focal point. Alright, now let's talk color. We are talking about colorful sunsets after all. Tropical sunsets are usually an explosion of warm tones, yellows, oranges, corals, pinks, and those deep dark blues. So here is my usual color palette for sunset paintings. Now, the trick is not to just throw up all the bright colors all at once. Early on, I made the mistake of going too bold with everything, and it ended up looking chaotic. I learned that color contrast is the secret to realism. So now I mix warm and cool tones to give the painting depth. A little cool purple in the shadows of the clouds provides depth to the cloud and also provides contrast to the yellow, orange, or coral in the bright highlights of the sunlit portion of the cloud, which gives it that realistic effect. Now let's talk about blending the background sunset sky with acrylics. This is where a gradual color blend is everything. I start with the warmest colors, yellows, oranges, reds, near the horizon, then shift up to the cooler blues, greens, or purples in a soft gradation. There are some advantages to using acrylic paints over oils, especially for a beginner, but one possible disadvantage is the fact that acrylics dry much faster, so blending colors can be tricky. I learned the hard way that trying to blend without keeping my acrylic paints moist made this much more difficult. You can keep acrylics moist either by using a quick spritz from a water spray bottle on your canvas or adding a drying retarder to your paints. I often give it a quick light spray and gently blend with a big brush. And even today, if I make a mess trying to blend the sky, the great thing about acrylics is that I can just wait a few minutes until it dries and then paint over it. Next up is the water. This is where I love playing with reflections and movement. I start by blocking in the dark tones like the dark deep blues and greens, which serve as the base layer to create contrast. I usually mix some cad red or alizarin crimson with ultramarine blue to create a dark base for the water. These dark colors will make the brighter sunset reflections really pop as I add them on top. It's like setting the stage for the light to play across the surface. Once that dark base is down, I begin adding streaks of oranges, pinks, sometimes hints of lavender, mimicking the colors in the sky. But here's the thing, instead of being super precise at this stage, I keep it loose and suggestive. I lay down broad horizontal strokes that reflect the fluidity and the movement of the water. Later, when I'm happy with the larger areas of color, I'll come back with some wave highlights. Any breaking waves with white water that are directly in the line of sight of the sun's reflection will take on that yellow, gold, and orange color. As you look off to the side of the wave, you'll notice that the white water takes on a softer and dimmer color since it's not receiving much of the sunlight. As I finish adding those wave highlights, I also focus on capturing the effect of the sunlight shining directly toward the viewer. You'll notice that the brightest sun reflections form a pathway of light leading from the sun straight to the viewer's eyes. This effect is key. It draws you into the painting and makes the water feel almost three-dimensional. By adding brighter yellows and whites along this line, I can mimic the direct pathway of the sunlight glinting off of the surface. It's like laying down a visual runway of light, guiding the viewer right into the heart of the sunset. Now, here's the bonus tip that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The one thing we haven't talked about yet is values. If you want the sun to look bright and vivid, go darker with the background sky. I create that by gradually, or sometimes more abruptly, deepening the blue of the surrounding sky. This stronger contrast in values creates the appearance of a brighter sun. You can also create a strong contrast by adding darker clouds that partially hide the sun. The dark values of the clouds seem to brighten the sun in the viewer's eyes also. Now, not all sunsets are vibrant. Some are much more subtle. If you're painting a more subtle sunset, then there won't be a big difference in the overall values of your darks and lights. The background sky will not be as dark. The sun will not appear as bright. The overall painting will have a more subdued look to the sunset. It will require some practice to create values of colors that are closer together. So the answer is practice, practice, practice. And catch my next video for painting tropical water during a bright sunny day. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. Take care.